Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries RPG podcast. It's Thursday, time for another voicemail episode, so let's have a listen to the voicemails we've been left this week. And the first voicemail we've been left is by Goblin's Henchman. Take it away.
Hi John, hi Hannah, Goblin's Henchman here. I've only recently caught up to the change in platform that you're using on this, so apologies if this message is a bit late, but I just wanted to comment on your trial episode. I've actually got a Hexflower to do this, Hexflower game engine, so that's basically you start in the middle of the Hexflower and you're either found innocent if you get to the top of the Hexflower, or guilty if you get to the bottom of the Hexflower. And basically the navigation direction is set largely by whether you're innocent or guilty to start with. And then you may have some points depending on whether you've got a good lawyer or things like that. So you can sort of game the system. Now, normally the idea of this Hexflower is to work with with the PCs in mind rather than, say, a third party. But there's no reason why it couldn't be played out in the same way. For example, there's like elements of it to do with whether you've got a crooked judge or all that sort of stuff. So that can all come into the mix. And I think the Hexflower would hopefully resolve the trial in less than half an hour, certainly less than an hour. So you get a bit of a sort of almost a board gamey element to it, and hopefully a bit of dynamism in the process.
Thanks very much, Goblin's Henchman, for leaving us that message. Now, Goblin's Henchman did send us a copy of the Hexflower, and that was very interesting. I very much enjoyed looking at that, and I've shown it to Hannah. By the time we got that, she'd already done her sort of courtroom session, and I believe she resolved it more in a sort of narrative way, with players doing things and their characters doing things in the background to sort of influence the verdict. But hopefully we'll get around to recording a short episode where she talks about how she actually handled that. But thank you very much for your call and for sending us the great Hexflower. If you've not checked out Goblin Henchman's Hexflowers, used for resolving all sorts of things, from creatures attacking from the air and the sea to weather, all manner of things, you should really give them a look. They're billed as random encounter charts with memory, and I think they work great. I've used a number of them in my games. Now we have a couple of voicemails from Jason of the Nerds RPG Variety Cast. So let's see what Jason's got to say.
Hey, John and Hannah, Jason here. Been catching up on your podcast. Haven't been listening so much since I've been at home. Your episode on making maps was excellent. Great advice there. Wonderful for the beginner, or even for us more experienced folks. There's some good tips in there. I'm lazy. I like to just there's so many maps out there. So many wonderful maps out there. I just borrow somebody else's map. And if I need to move something around or relabel something, obviously I can do that. But that way I'm not having to draw continents or anything else. It's all already out there and I'm not having to put the work in. But, just the little things, like you say, like the rivers and stuff is huge. So great episode. Look forward to listening to the rest of them. Take care.
Thanks very much, Jason. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There is a plethora of maps out there, and there is certainly nothing wrong with taking some maps, combining them, rotating them, turning them around, and repurposing them to use in your own game. In fact, in the sort of colonial black powder setting that I'm still sort of working on when and if I get the chance, I've done exactly that with a map of the USA. I've rotated it, rejigged it slightly, and I'm reworking it to use in that campaign. But that can save you an awful lot of work. Certainly if, like myself, you're fairly amateur when it comes to map making, it can save you a great deal of work and trouble, and you can still get some great results on it. I'm glad you enjoyed the episode, Jason. Let's see what Jason's got to say in his next message.
Hey, Hannah and John. This is Jason again. Just listened to your voicemail episode, was that Thursday episode? And don't feel compelled to include all my voicemails. I'll call you each episode because I want to give you the feedback and I want to let you know that what you're doing is appreciated and to share my thoughts. But definitely don't feel that you have to include all my calls. I mean, you might scare away some of your listeners. It's okay to say Jason called and said this. Feel free to paraphrase. I just want to throw that out there. But I do enjoy what you guys are doing.
Thanks very much, Jason. And I can assure you that we do not feel compelled by any means to include all the voicemails. We include the voicemails because we really appreciate the feedback that you and other people have been giving us. After all, we want to keep the podcast relevant to people, and we want to keep improving on it as we go along. So all this feedback is really appreciated, and it's nice to be able to respond to people's voicemails and have a little bit of a back and forth going on. It was one of the things I enjoyed about the old podcast on Anchor, and whilst I'm not using that podcasting platform anymore, myself and Hannah still enjoy responding to the voicemails. So don't feel that we're in any way feeling pressured to put all of your voicemails on. We're putting them on because we appreciate them, and we appreciate the voicemails from everyone who sends them in. So we realise that people have got stuff to be getting on with. People are working with the current situation. People have got crazy stuff going on. Everything's up in the air. We know podcast listening is down because they've not got that commute going on and stuff like that. So we really do appreciate people taking the time to ring in and share their thoughts with us and hopefully help us improve the podcast. So thank you very much, guys. So our callers this episode were Goblin's Henchman and Jason Connolly of the Nerds RPG Variety Cast, a podcast on Anchor that you should really check out. It's very enjoyable. If you want to leave us a voicemail message and possibly be featured in a future voicemail Postbag episode, you can leave us a voicemail at SpeakPipe. There will be a link in the show description. Also, there's widgets that allow you to leave messages on our website, www.reddicediaries.com, or you can drop us an email at rddrpgpodcast@gmail.com. Until we see you next time, take care, stay safe, and happy gaming.